welcome to another episode of Betwixt Heaven and Hell, a video podcast hosted by JD. So sit back and relax and enjoy the show. I'm here with my dad, Jack Kazebeer. How are you today?
Great.
I'm going to be calling you Jack from the rest of this interview, if that's okay.
Okay.
All right. So I was wondering, where do we start? So Jack, tell us, what are you doing now?
In terms of what?
In terms of your daily life.
I rarely play golf, which is something I'd like to do more of. I'm being facetious. I actually played a lot. I played a lot, but I really, for some unknown reason, I don't know why, I just really enjoy it a lot. I'm not very good at it.
Now that you're retired, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I have time to do it, and I enjoy it a lot. I belong to a league, and everybody on the league is great. We play with different people each week, and you meet new people, and it's just a nice social activity to have, and I get a lot of exercise from it, which is something that is important to have, obviously.
Okay. Do you have anything else that takes up your time?
Yes, I am involved in things in my church. I'm a deacon, and I'm the chairman of the personnel committee. So those things, the activity required in those things usually is pretty sporadic. It's not like a steady thing that could necessarily be predicted at any given time. But mainly the things as they come up to be done.
And you're looking for an arts and crafts pastor now?
No, we have one of those. No, we don't. No, we're looking for a pastor that would be called we already have an associate pastor, but he's part-time, and his area of responsibility is sort of restricted to the senior members of the congregation, as well as some other things, but he's not full-time. But we're looking for someone who is full-time that can add an injection of enthusiasm into the church, who can guide the church in terms of its online presence. For good or for bad, nowadays churches are online, and people can view them from home, which is good if they're not able to get to church because of weather, health, or anything else. The bad part is that some people do that in lieu of going to church, and that's not really a good situation. But it's a means of reaching out to folks, and so we need someone to direct the technical aspects of what we're doing there, to also make it more professional looking, actually, to be honest with you, as well as to enable them to be able to, if they want to support the activities of the church, give them an easy way of doing that. Making them feel like they might want to come in and be present, which is really the main objective. Because the idea is to, put seats in the pew, as they say.
Got you. Do you do anything else?
I am a part-time notary closer,
Okay.
which means that I work for settlement companies to close real estate loans, which means get the signatures on the papers, okay? And I do that sometimes. And generally, whatever my wife tells me to do,
So, I also have it on good authority that you do things with the Gideons
Oh yes, I'm in the Gideons. The
and
Gideons International. Yes, we do.
what do the Gideons do?
Well, I think most people who have stayed in a hotel from time to time have noticed that in the drawer of a nightstand in many hotels, not all of them, unfortunately, but many hotels, there'll be a Bible in there, and it'll be a full size Bible, and it will say on the cover, provided by the Gideons International, and that's one of the things that the Gideons organization does. But really and truly, that's probably the most recognizable public interface that we have. But behind the scenes, there's really much more that's done. We supply Bibles to or Gideon organizations all over the world. In many places, it's quite dangerous to even possess a Bible. But believe it or not, there are many Gideon organizations there, and we help supply Bibles to them for the distribution in their country, because it's difficult sometimes for them to get Bibles, or they can't afford Bibles, or one thing or another. So we do that. We also hand out pocket testaments, which is not a full Bible, but it's the New Testament, Psalms, and Proverbs, and we distribute those in different venues. We go to the county fairs, and we have a booth set up, a table set up, and as people pass by, we offer them a Bible. If situations are right, we can witness to them as well. But a lot of times things are happening so rapidly, and there's so many people coming by, you don't really have time to spend with the person. But they get a Bible. We also distribute them at high school graduations as the students are leaving the ceremonies, headed out to their cars to leave. We'll be standing there at the door, and we'll be handing them a Bible. And the good thing about that is if you reach out and hand someone something, they usually take it before they realize what it is. And I'm saying that because a lot of people don't have access. They don't have ready access to a Bible. I mean, if somebody wants to read the Bible, that they can find a way to do it. But if you make it easy for them to have access to one, the chances of them doing that is even greater. So,
Okay.
but our whole thing is to distribute God's word, because as Isaiah says in chapter 55, verse 11, that the word that comes out of God's mouth will not return to him void or empty. That it will accomplish all its purposes and succeed in the reason that he sent it. So you never know where it's going to wind up.
Even the
You
rocks.
never know
yeah.
who's going to read it. Many times the person who initially got the Bible is not the one that actually gets something from it. They may lay it down. They may give it to somebody else. They may throw it away. There's many testimonies where people have been saved when they just found one on the ground. They picked it up and they said, "What is this?" They started reading it, and they kept reading it, and they realized that they needed to be saved. So there's the way that God reveals himself to mankind is in many different ways.
So, well, that's good. And one more thing that I know you do. Well, actually, I know of two. You have a few grandchildren that you take care of when needed. But I was talking about the Post,
The Post.
the American Legion Post.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. I belong to the Hopewell American Legion, Post 146, as a not as a Legionnaire, but as a son of the American Legion, which is an organization attached to the American Legion for people who were not themselves in the military or were not veterans, but their father or their grandfather was. And of course, my father was. He was a 20-year veteran and retired from the Army. So I was eligible to join, and so I'm doing that. And we do a lot of things primarily around raising funds to provide funding for veterans beneficiary things. For instance, we've given thousands of dollars to a guy who makes bicycles for veterans who are disabled in some way, and someone who has lost legs or arms or whatever, that they can't ride an ordinary bicycle, so they have to have specially made bicycles and that kind of thing. And what's unique about that is he himself is disabled, so that's pretty cool. But they need funding, and so we raise funds and we do that. We also give funds to the Legion itself, because they are charged with providing funds for Veterans Affairs situations. So I'm what's called the second vice, I'm the first vice commander, which is just an officer of the Sons, and primarily involved with membership activities. New members apply, I review the application and make sure everything's in order. I process the dues payments into the system, and I collect dues, and we advertise when it's time to renew their dues. And I'm sort of a bill collector in a way for part of the year. So,
and being a veteran, and I know that's hard for you to do with collecting dues for American Legion. So
it's like any other thing. I mean, it's some people gladly do what they're supposed to do, and some people drag their feet, and they eventually will pay or whatever. So it's just,
well, you need to be a cheerful giver, right?
That's right.
All right.
Yeah.
So, well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
But we also do other things like it's actually a fundraising event, but various businesses in Hopewell, they can pay, I forget what it is, $20 or $40, I think it's $40 a year, something like that. But on every national holiday, we will put a flag in front of their place of business. And it's not a small flag, it's a really large flag. And so, we load up the back of trucks, and we have a route that we go on, and all the businesses that pay to have that service, we jump out of the truck after it stops, and we put the flag in the ground. And then in the evening, we go back and pick the flags back up. So it's a way to allow businesses to express their Americanism by doing that, and then it provides some additional funding for us to operate. We sponsor things like the bicycle rodeo that Hopewell has every year by the Sheriff's Department, where they fix and inspect bicycles for the kids, and then we also provide I think bicycles that they give away to kids under what's the word I want to use? Kids that are not well off, or their parents are not well off. They can't afford a bicycle.
Economically challenged.
What?
Economically challenged.
Yeah, whatever.
Yes.
So we provide bicycles for those children. So, we're supposed to benefit the community as a whole, as well as veterans and so forth.
Oh, awesome.
There are funds that are raised to provide scholarships for children of disabled veterans or any veteran actually, but primarily it's aimed at that target audience. So it does a lot of good work for veterans, and it shows our appreciation of the things that veterans do for us.
Okay. Well, thank you. Uh, you have traversed this rock, the third rock from the sun, for quite a number of decades now, I would imagine. You've probably seen a lot. Where do you stand on how you view the world today? What type of lens do you view the world through?
I believe that the world that we live in is one that was created by God. Several thousand years ago, whatever that is, 6,000 or 7,000, and that He created it for us to live on, and He created the whole universe to support the earth, for one thing. A lot of people think that the universe is so vast that if there are not other civilizations, that's a big waste of space and that kind of thing. And I don't believe any of that. What I believe is He created the universe with its vastness and all its mystery for our benefit, so that we can see how awesome He really is. And you got to agree that it would take a very awesome power to create everything, especially when He created it from nothing. And that we are here to live our lives, but we're also here to, I think, understand Him in terms of the love He has for us and the sacrifice that He made for us. It's almost as if this world is a proving ground, but we're put here on the earth. We don't need to prove anything to Him, but we need to show that we do have faith. And regardless of what is thrown at us, we have to maintain that faith. And actually, that's a multifaceted concept, because not only do things that happen to us make us cling to our faith, it strengthens the faith.
Okay, that's an interesting worldview. Now, did you always have that worldview?
Of course not.
Is it safe to say that you're a post World War II baby?
I'm a baby boomer. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Growing up, can you tell us a little bit about where you grew up?
No.
I cannot.
Because I grew up in so many different places that I can't tell you a little bit about where I grew up.
Well, do you think that do you think that probably had some type of formation in what you believe now, or?
I doubt it.
You doubt it?
I doubt that it formed my worldview. I mean, it obviously probably had a hand in it. But my worldview, like I said, is not the same now as it was years ago, especially when I was a child, obviously.
Well, what about a teenager? What was your worldview then?
Nothing like it is now. When I was a teenager, it was to live for the day, to live for whatever I could get pleasure out of or pursue, good times.
Do you think that would be any different than a teenager today?
No.
So you think the age is probably a lot the same? The age of the person in their worldview would probably, as a teenager, would look to get pleasure out of every day that comes along, or
I would
and
say so. Most teenagers are probably that way. They're mainly self-centered kind of personalities. There's very few that probably wouldn't be that way.
I could see that. Um, and it's my understanding that you got married at a fairly young age. Um, you were legal, of course, but you got married at a fairly young age. Now, once you became a family man, I should say, did that have anything? Did that sort of change your worldview going into marriage and looking at how many years that you would be doing the work, family, home life thing?
Yeah, it did.
How did that change?
It made me realize that there were more things that were important than just me. I had responsibilities, and and I don't mean that to be in a burdensome way. I mean, I was glad I had the responsibilities.
Do you think that would have changed your morals or your emotions?
Do I think what?
If that would have changed your morals or
What
your
had
emotions?
changed? What do you mean?
Or do you think it changed your morals
Oh, yeah.
from, yes. So your worldview changed your morals or your morals changed your worldview?
Probably morals changed the worldview.
You would say you became more of a morality type person than you were before?
Uh, yeah, I guess so. I mean, I don't know. Your worldview is just how you view things around you and how you react to things that happen to you, and how you try to make sense of what's going on, more than just like morality. I mean, I don't think I was living like a morality play or anything.
Oh no, I was just viewing like on because basically what was going on during the time that you were first married was the Vietnam War, um, and I would think that somebody. I mean, I know you didn't serve, but you would have if called. You had a son, and you also had a school deferment. But I think that what I was getting at is people that did see the war, their morality changed their worldview, where you had a separate worldview compared to. I
Yeah, I
think
don't.
that,
I can't.
or where
I
you were
can't.
looking at when you were looking at it on the newsreels type deal, or what was going on in the world. Did your worldview just focus around family? I think maybe.
No, I was concerned and interested about the war.
Mhm.
I don't know how much different my worldview was than people who actually went over there was, because I don't know how they felt. But I'm certain that there were differences. Um, they probably had many more years of maturity than I did at that age, because I wasn't facing the things that they were facing, life and death things and so forth. Uh,
Did you have the when you have a relationship with Jesus um, and God? Did you have the same type of relationship back then?
Probably, I would say no, not really. I mean, I knew who he was, and I knew what he did and why he did it. And I was what you would call someone who was churched, because we
Yeah,
went to church when I was
church.
younger, um, And I'll admit, many times I didn't really want to go. I just went because I was made to go. Um, like most kids, I guess, or a lot of kids. Um, but I did learn a lot. I went to VBS and learned about all the traditional Bible stories and the characters that are in the Bible. But I didn't really have a deep feeling about it. I was just aware of it, and until much later in life.
Later in life, being when you first got married, or was that a lot further along?
No, it was after that.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Um, what brought your attention back to that type of?
Um, I would say the thing that was like an adrenaline shot, let's say, was conversations that I had with you.
Oh, you really fast forwarded there, well over that. I
Yeah, I
appreciate
mean,
that.
because you were an adult, not a child, when all this happened, and it helped me. It helped me to understand a lot and be more curious about certain things, so that I would have to dig in the Bible and try to find out things. So I just got interested in it, and then it became at times an insatiable appetite for reading and studying it, and more importantly, to contemplate what it was I was reading, to really think about what the meaning was. I mean, I'd read the Bible before, and
So
it was a book that you read, and the true message, didn't really come out to me until much later in life.
oh, so basically you read it before, say, like philosophy. Not really philosophy, but it was on that type of level. It's how you should
It
live
was
your
more
life.
like it was less personal.
Was it a book of do's and don'ts?
Oh, yeah, at one stage, yeah.
So when you found out that it was more than a book of do's and don'ts, or what kind of enlightenment was that?
It was.
Was that like a pop moment, or was it?
No, I'm not one of these people who had a sudden revelation, and their whole life changed in an instant, and mine was over time, and the more I thought about it, the more I realized certain things that I didn't realize before, and came to a closer understanding of what it meant to have a relationship rather than a religion.
Oh, that's interesting. Relationship rather than a religion. Um, so there would be no dogma. If
No.
um, so if I remember correctly, we went to church quite a lot during the '80s, um, '70s and '80s. Um, that was in Rocky Mount. Um, and then I think in the '90s, did you sort of wane from going to church?
Yeah.
Why do you think that was?
I don't know. Just got out of the habit. Didn't really feel how important it was.
Mm. That was interesting. Um, when do you think you got back into going to church, or um, back into meeting with other people, Christians?
I don't remember the date exactly. It was in the early 2000s.
Okay. Did you said you didn't have an epiphany moment? Can you tell me when you felt you were saved?
I felt like I was saved when I accepted Jesus and became baptized and that kind of thing, which was basically when I was about uh, 16 or so. But it was not. It was not. It was not as I was saying before, like a lightning flash or anything like that. But I knew what it meant to be saved.
So was that time during the time of the Jesus movement, or was that
No,
before?
no, that really didn't have anything to do
Do
with it.
that.
I sort of had the um, the feeling that okay, church was important, Jesus was important, but it was just a part of your life, and but you still went on with other like you went on before. I mean, you lived your life the way you lived it before, but that became a component of it, rather than that becoming a guidepost for it.
That was interesting the way you put that, a guidepost. Jesus becoming a part
Yeah,
of your
because
life.
I've got the opinion, and I don't want to speak down about other people, but you see a lot of people who they are. They may be churchgoers or maybe they aren't churchgoers, but they do recognize and they understand that there's a God and that you know somehow He created the world and you know Jesus was born 2,000 years ago, and that's what we celebrate His birthday because He's the Savior of the world. But that doesn't really have a lot of importance in their life in terms of how they view their world. That they don't seem to attribute a lot of importance to it. And I'm not saying that I do a lot. I mean, because it would be better, and I wish I did have a higher view of what that means to me than I do now. And maybe we're not capable of doing that. God deserves all the glory that you can and praise that you can give Him, but you can't do that 24/7. We're just not built that way. But we should always strive to recognize, what He's done for us.
That's a good way to put that. That's definitely.
And I heard an interesting thing about prayer. Prayer should be your steering wheel rather than your spare tire. So it should show you should use it to formulate your everyday life. Paul says to pray without ceasing. Well, he didn't mean to be constantly praying, but he did mean to pray a lot and to make it an ingrained part of your life. To have that relationship that you should have, to frequently just talk to Him. Not out loud, not necessarily, but in your mind. And, ask for guidance in whatever you're doing. Ask for help when you need help. Ask for uplifting when you feel down.
So definitely have Him as the right wheel and not the wrong wheel.
Yeah.
Question, a little bit off topic maybe. What, if any, do you believe in heaven and hell?
Oh yeah,
So there is a hell.
oh yeah.
Okay.
Jesus talks more about hell than he does heaven.
Do
I
you,
don't know exactly what it is. You know, there are references to eternal fire and flames, and I don't know if that's 100% literal, or the only thing literal about it is that it's intense and it's pretty bad, pretty bad. It's something you don't want to be involved in. You know, it's a separation from God. Now, that does that mean? I think I thought at times that what if people in hell, where God would make them have, that would make them be able to understand why they're there. But not only that, to have eternal and strong regrets. I mean, have you ever done something and you regretted doing it? I mean, strongly regretted doing it? Like, it just would eat your inside out, so that they would always have that regret.
even like picking it back up after you've given it to him?
What?
Even like picking it back up after you've given the regret to him or whatever it is. Yes. No, I understand what you're
To me,
saying.
that would be a pretty harsh punishment.
No, I definitely understand that. That is a harsh punishment. So, you believe that there's a heaven and hell. Do you believe in angels?
Yes,
Why do you believe in angels?
because they're referred to in the Bible.
Do you believe in guardian angels?
Um, yeah, I guess I do. I can't imagine exactly how all that operates. I think there have been times when situations I've been in where guardian angels could have been the force that prevented me from being hurt badly in a, you know, potential incident or whatever.
So, if there's guardian angels and you said you believe in hell, then I'm sure you're of the belief that angels have fallen.
Oh yeah,
So, would they necessarily be the demons, you think? Or are
I
they
don't think
different?
so. I mean, that's, yeah, sure.
That's biblical.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, demons possess people
well, where do you think they reside?
in a different dimension than we are.
Okay.
But they have access to our dimension. We don't have access to theirs. They have limited access to our dimension, I'll say.
Okay. I know for a fact that you read C.S. Lewis, and you've had a video. I mean, you've had group lessons on it. You read the Screw Tape Letters, didn't you?
Yes.
Do you remember any of that?
No.
Oh.
Not really. I mean, I remember what it's all about.
Oh.
What the gist of it is, where this supervisor demon is trying to instruct a student on how to steal a human's soul from him and prevent him from becoming saved.
Do you think that was a good book?
It was good. It's not an easy book to read. The average person probably wouldn't understand a lot of it unless you had a good instructor who could lead you along, which I did, and you know, because there were a lot of chapters that were just hard to understand.
Well, I mean, but if you had a good understanding of the Bible, would that have changed the book? Do you think the
I
book
don't
was
think so.
biblical?
No, I just think it was. You'd have to read the book to understand what I'm saying, but C.S. Lewis, while he was probably a very intelligent man and so forth, sometimes it was difficult to follow his line of reasoning and thinking. I mean, he was trying to portray a situation, and sometimes it's hard to understand where he was coming from. I
Oh,
mean, he's
gotcha.
trying to make a point. Um, it was
He just wasn't succinct enough.
yeah, I guess so.
So I understand. Well, I do appreciate you sitting down, taking the time here. Um, it's very good to see you during my Christmas time when we come together as a family. Um, I do not miss not being together as much, but we know that God's calling is important. Is there anything else you would like to add to our little session here, or you think that we've let enough air out of that tire?
No, I feel the same way that you do about. I wish that we could see you more. We're very happy that you came, and if you were like half the distance away that you are, that would probably be better. We could see each other more, but it's a long haul, as you
No,
know.
it is, but the mountains are so beautiful. You talk about
No,
God's
they're not,
creation.
and so that's just a difference of opinion.
I know, I know. So, but that's interesting, and I appreciate your love for God. I do appreciate our conversation sometimes, even though you have the pre-tribulation wrong. Um, I know that. I'm sorry for everybody listening. That's um, or for everybody watching. It's my dad and I disagree on
Yeah,
some
but I will
things.
say something about that. Not about the pre-tribulation rapture necessarily, but I'm intensely interested in uh, eschatology, and I think we are really, in a way, blessed to live during the time that we're living, because we're actually able to see prophecies in the Bible unfold before our very eyes.
No, that
And it, although you have to be careful about interpreting everything as a prophecy that you see in the news, that isn't necessarily the case. But you can get um, a good feeling knowing that, you know, part of the prophecy is that if you're a believer, you have nothing to worry about. I can't imagine someone who is not a believer going through these times and noticing what's going on. Many are probably scared to death that there's going to be, you know, a nuclear war, and you know they may have horrible times that they have to live through, and so on and so forth. They have really no hope. They have nothing to cling to. They just feel like they're moving along on the arrow of time without any guardrails, and they're going to go wherever it pushes them. And when you're a believer, you understand that this world is not our home. We're just moving through it like everybody else, but we have a destination that we know is going to make all this worthwhile. More than make it all worthwhile, it's going to be unbelievable that we would be concerned at all about anything, because then we'll know things that we don't know now.
You know, that's funny. I know we could have a whole other conversation about that, which I'm going to save for a future date. But you know, we know that there's a wonderful world ahead of us, as you say, and why wouldn't we want to hurry up to get there instead of staying here on this rock? Um,
Well,
but
we have a purpose here, and you know, we can't decide when we go there because we're not in charge of that department. He is.
well, that's true.
I mean, we don't want to rush the thing. Although we wouldn't be disappointed if, the rapture happened tonight. That would be fine. That would be great.
Right.
But we really can't force the issue because we don't know all of why we're here one more day or 2 more days or 3 more years or whatever it's going to be. Because he's got things in the plan. We may have some important thing to do in 2027. So
Yeah.
stay and do it.
That's right. That's right. Well, I do appreciate your time today, and thank you for sitting down with me.
This actually got better as it went on. I mean, I was pretty nervous in the beginning, so that's good.
Excellent. I look forward to doing this again.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Yeah, so it'll be over different distance, but I've got a way to do that as well.
Oh, okay.
So, I will end here.
Just sign off.
Will do. Thank you for listening to the Betwixt Heaven and Hell podcast with your host, JD. And if you made it this far, please hit like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, have a wonderful day and God bless.